I thought it was just insecurities. Then I realized this is not normal insecurities, because what I see is not matching up to what everybody else's version of what they are saying that they see. And then I've realized throughout the years, even still, what I see in the mirror or in the reflections, they don't match up every day. They don't even match up, on the same day. They change. So I remember being like 7 and not wanting to wear shorts because I didn't like the way my knees looked. Why would a 7-year-old care about their knees?
That question is an interesting and kind of difficult one for me, because it varies so much to the point that I can't even trust sometimes what I see, because every day it honestly almost seems like I'm looking at a massive change in what's there, to a point that it's almost always I know it's derived by my own perception. So if I'm feeling really blah, I look in the mirror and what I'm seeing is someone who's really frumpy, or all of these flaws stick out that on other days I would never even care about or notice. So yeah, it's definitely a varying situation for me, at least.
For me, that's also a very it's a layered question. It really depends on the day. Sometimes there are days when I can look in the mirror and see my, strength and the bravery and, how I've overcome a lot of the things in my life. And then it can go to the extreme opposite, where I just can't even describe what I see. I just know that it doesn't feel good, to look at sometimes, or a lot of discomfort. So I think, as part of my journey, it goes from like one extreme to the other. But most days I do look in the mirror and see bravery and heroism.
To echo what everyone else is saying, it does vary by day, but I try to start off each day when I look in the mirror is knowing that I have experience, and it helps me to comfort myself through if I'm having a bad day and I don't feel good about my self-image, or if I'm having a good day and I'm extremely, pumped up about the way I look or what I'm doing. I just like to know that every day I'm looking in the mirror at somebody who has overcome and who is experienced and who is going to show up regardless on how I feel about the way that I look.
When I look in the mirror, I see, I would say a lot of the times I see somebody who has overcome a whole lot, a lot of hard traumatic issues that unless you've been through it, you have no idea. And you would never look at me and think, oh, she's been through some pretty hard stuff. But because of that, there's a lot of times where I won't even look in the mirror, because it's like what I see is not myself. And it's strange to say that, because unless you understand what I'm saying, it sounds like a crazy person. But most of the time, I can look at my husband or my son and remember, I am here today still. I am my son's mother. I have a job to do, and I can change it for him, and I can change it for everybody, or I can make a difference with, speaking out. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Going off of what everyone else said, it definitely fluctuates for me as well, depending on the day and my mood. But a lot of the times when I look in the mirror, I see a lot of flaws. Things are very prominent to me, such as like having broad shoulders or dark facial hair, stuff like that, that other people don't really look at me and notice. I tend to see a lot of the time. But if I'm in a good mood, I will see strength and I will see myself as beautiful.
So for me, some of the big things are my hair. Like on a daily thing, I will put it up and down to kind of like try to cover my face a bit. And also as like a nervous, almost like over grooming, I tend to touch and like try to straighten and everything to fix it. But on top of that, I always find clothes are my big one. I will change my clothes probably about 6 times every morning to try to make sure that I'm hiding anything and as comfortable as possible. And like, I know I spend a lot of time in super baggy clothes to hide what I perceive as like imperfections or feel like I, don't match as well. So baggy clothing, sweatpants, stuff like that to kind of just hide away from it.
For me, it went from first I was overeating. I think subconsciously I wanted to make myself undesirable, and so I just would do anything that meant I wasn't desirable. So that would be like if I was overeating, I would cover myself up. So I would wear, again, very baggy clothing or very long sleeve shirts, just layers, even when it's like hot as hell outside. And so I went through that phase of trying to just cover up my body and just hide so that I'm not seen, to the, again, extreme opposite, to where I then just try to then be perfect. So that meant like extreme exercise, lots of dieting, wanting to make my body very perfect, which I didn't really understand how I went from like one extreme to the other. But yeah, so then in my perfection, wanting the perfection, needing a lot of validation, that my body was approval worthy.
If I'm not feeling good about myself, I'll completely avoid a mirror. Then there's, on the other hand, where at one point I was extremely competitive and with my strength, like trying to prove that I was strong. So I took up a sport that I was being extremely competitive in, so that I can feel strength. And then the downside of that was that I excelled at it and it was great. Then, I injured myself because I was just so aggressive with trying to feel strong that I overdid that. And then there's those days where if I don't have everything to look perfect, I'll just completely stay home. So yeah, it varies from different ranges, but and there's times when I just don't, more so than anything, there's times when I just don't really want to look in the mirror. So if I could avoid it, I will.
I wear a lot of baggy clothes, if most of the time I just stay home if I don't look a certain way. Like Regina said, or actually all 3 women so far have said that, I'll either, I've, binged, I've went to the end of Perfection, I've overexcelled. I was trying to perfect my body. I was trying to hide my body by binging. I was trying to perfect it with, you know, all the perfect diets, making everything look perfect. I got into weightlifting. To feel strong, and injured myself. But mostly I avoid mirrors as much as possible and pictures.
I kind of have a bunch of different big ones. Skin picking is a huge one for me, whether it's my fingernails, my cuticles, pimples, dry skin. I can't go a day without looking closely in a mirror and picking my everything. And then changing of clothes, I'll try on, normally every morning I'll try on like everything that I own, and then end up feeling worse about myself. And I have a very unhealthy relationship with food, where I feel guilty every time I eat something that's not like extremely healthy. And the same thing that everyone else said, I avoid mirrors, windows that are reflective, any sort of reflection of my body.
I don't think there was a moment that I ever was like, this is probably something I'm going through. It actually took talking to another survivor about some of the things I was struggling with when it came to my body, particularly at the time. For whatever reason, every time I looked in the mirror, it was like any bruise that was on my body was there again, despite the fact that like that is physically impossible. I couldn't get away from that thought, and so I covered everything up, tons of makeup, and like turtlenecks. But talking to them, and they have a background in counseling, they started to suggest it, and then started asking me other questions, and it was more like someone had to tell me. Otherwise, I kind of assumed it was, besides the bruises part, normal to be insecure, because we talk about it all the time, and I just thought it was like insecurities about my body. So for me, it kind of, it took someone telling me for me to even put it on my radar.
It was definitely from when I went to now the extreme of like where I had gained weight, and then I went to the over exercising and dieting. And I think I got very, I was kind of going through like a manic phase where I like was very extreme. And I lost a lot of weight, and some, the people around me were like, someone talked to me and said, you're getting very small, and we're a little concerned. And I heard that, but when I looked in the mirror, that wasn't what I saw. So for a long time, I was in a lot of denial. And then I think I read something that was also written by another survivor, where she explained, that she had body dysmorphia, and I didn't really know what it was, but that was my first introduction to it. And then when I went into personal training, I learned a lot more about that. So first time was that somebody said something to me. I read someone who had experienced something similar, and then did further research when I became a personal trainer. But I was just so amazed that like I was looking at my body, but what I was seeing was not what everyone else was seeing.
For me, it became with I kind of tried to, I knew I felt a certain way about my body because of the way that I was shaped. I would always get outside feedback from people, and it really didn't, like, people, they would comment on certain parts of my body, just, out of family, because, I just, my body is just different from everyone else's. So I think I took those things literal a lot, and didn't really look at what I didn't look at myself as what I saw in the mirror. It was kind of what people were telling me. So I knew that there was something didn't match up. And I think for a long time I struggled to kind of size my body into with clothes and with even my physical limits. I think I didn't test them as much when I was younger, as opposed to becoming an adult. And I became an athlete later on as an adult and not as a, as a teenager and a young woman. So for me, I know that my physical limitations as a younger person came directly from not having a good image, a good self-image of myself. And that was because I just didn't know how to distinguish what people saw versus what I saw. So that was a big one for me.
I first noticed it possibly when I was around 16, 17, 18, because like somebody, I can't remember who said it. Somebody said, I thought it was just insecurities, you know, then I realized this is not normal insecurities, because what I see is not matching up to what everybody else's version of what they are saying that they see. And then I've realized throughout the years, even still, what I see in the mirror or in the reflections, they don't match up every day. They don't even match up, on the same day. They change, so yeah, I mean, I remember being like 7 and not wanting to wear shorts because I didn't like the way my knees looked. Why would a 7-year-old care about their knees? So that, I mean, I just remember, I don't know why I remember that, but yeah, just not feeling like what I see in my reflection is actually really real.
Very similar to what Angie was saying. I've always struggled with body image and feeling like I didn't match the models and stuff like that with my body. But I really had a moment where I realized I had body dysmorphia. I was walking around the mall with my little brother. This was 2 summers ago. And I was wearing shorts, and I asked him, I'm like, everyone's staring at me. Is my butt hanging out? Like, what's wrong? Everyone's looking at me. And he's like, no one's looking at you. And I kind of developed that paranoia. And then I had seen someone who was extremely overweight, and I was like, is that what I look like? And he looked at me, my little brother, and he's like, is that really what you think you look like? Like, you don't look like that. And for that for me was kind of like a wake up point. And ever since then, like, I started to notice more when my friends will take pictures of me and I need them to take 4,000 pictures. And I'm like, I can't post any of these. Like, I don't look good. And my friends are like, what are you talking about? You look great. So that's kind of where it was a wake up moment for me.
I feel, honestly, when it gets really bad and I almost like, there's a moment where it's like, if I look in the mirror, my whole view of myself changes, tends to be when I'm feeling overwhelmed with something else or stressed or even just lesser in some other aspect of my life. One very prominent example at this moment would be a change in how I view my body from 30 minutes ago to an hour ago when we ended filming of the shame panel to now. And my whole comfortability between those two topics is so different that during that time, my whole view of my physical appearance changed. And even just seeing my image in the top corner keeps stressing me out, just because it's as simple as just, being anxious about talking about something, feeling inadequate in any way almost changes my whole view of my person.
For me, it's definitely when I'm feeling not enough. And I think, that's distilled down to whether it's like comes from sadness or stress or overwhelm. It always distills down to it's me that's not enough. And so when I'm feeling not enough, then I will, pick pick at my body. I tend to find all the flaws. So it's, yeah, when I'm feeling not enough, that's kind of what then exacerbates my body dysmorphia, and then I'm like picking myself apart.
I tend to experience an uncertainty about my appearance, and my physical appearance, not just my energy, but my physical appearance. I notice that a lot when I'm going to new places, or if I'm going to do something that I haven't done before. Maybe it's around going around different new people, but I tend to that triggers me. It's like I don't know what they're going to think about me, so I tend to go into perfectionist mode, and I have to look my best. And if I know that I'm going somewhere in advance, like maybe I won't eat as much, I won't eat certain things so that my belly will be flat, or I won't, I'll have, it gets to the point to where I'm picking at what I'm eating versus days before. I'll get the perfect outfit. I'll try to look my best, or I'll work out insanely to make sure that I'm prepared physically for whatever I'm doing. But yeah, I know that, and it happens a lot in gyms, it happens a lot in social settings. So those are the things that make the dysmorphia more aware to me. And it's like I can stay at home all day and not have to look at anybody, and I'm perfectly fine, and you feel like you're in your little, your comfortable little space. And then it's like, well, you got to go out with people, and I've got to look perfect, and all those things start to play into mind. And that's when I notice how bad it can be. And I try to comfort myself and let myself know again that I do come from a place of experience, and that I am somebody who is working with myself, and that I do matter. And no matter what anyone else sees, I see myself and I feel myself. And that's really important to me in those times.
My shows up mostly when I know I'm going to be around my extended family. If I don't look absolutely perfect, I know I will get every judgment made on me, either to my face or whispers, like not so hidden whispers, where they're pretending that they're trying to hide it from me, so it's pretty tough. So I've pretty much backed out of going to any extended family functions as of late, because it's so completely uncomfortable. Or if there are functions with certain friends who are just absolutely gorgeous and have all their things together, I just won't go. I won't even make excuses anymore. I'll just say, I'm sorry, I can't make it. Thank you for the invite, but it's gotten to the point now where it's with people I love and care about. And that sucks.
For me, it really comes out in social settings. When I know I'm going to the bars, like at college, I had a really hard time with it. Going to any dances, going out to a bar, going to a party, stuff like that really brings it out, really kind of rears its ugly head when I'm getting ready for those events. Or like I'm already having a ton of anxiety over Halloween. I'm like, I need to lose 40 pounds by Halloween. So just when I know I'm going to be in a bigger social setting with people that I'm not really comfortable with, that's kind of when it really comes out for me.
I honestly find one of the big ways in which it affects my life is I've always been, I guess not always, I've often been the fat friend out of like all of my friends, and by quite a big difference. So going out with them, or going to the bars, doing stuff like that, or even just going shopping, I often will automatically go in with a bad mood, automatically go in assuming this is not going to go well, to a point that like I've left stores and just been like, I'm gonna go meet you guys later, because we're not even shopping within the same store range. Like none of the stores they go to are any, like essentially I feel like, you know, I'm squeezing into anything if I find something remotely close to my size. So stuff like that can make it hard. Also, just like when it comes to talking about dating and stuff like that, it really affects my friendships. And it took a long time to actually discuss with those friends what those insecurities were and find an equal grounding where we kind of all recognized that in different ways we all felt insecure about something of someone else, but it really made it hard to actually be friends in a good solid sense because of my own view of my body in comparison to theirs.
So for me, I feel like I have missed out on a lot of just like life and enjoyment, with, you know, like Meagan said, with friends and family, because I just like, I won't go to, or there have been times where I won't go to like a party or something because I'm not feeling good about my body, or I won't go, you know, hang out with people because I'm like, I'm not, I don't look good. Even, you know, if I do have something to wear, I'll put it on and just like in the last minute decide like it's not good enough. So it's definitely affected me in the sense that I feel like I've missed out on a lot of like bonding times and experience because of it. I think if I had to give an example, I can't say specifically what it is, but I missed out on a really big project because I felt like, you know, in the fitness industry, my body wasn't like 150%. So I turned down this really big opportunity because of that. And I know that it has affected my life and that I'm doing it because everyone around me tells me like, you're beautiful, you have an amazing body. But because of, you know, how I see myself, I miss out on just a lot of life and joy experience because of it.
The summer season and the hotter times where we wear less clothing and have to show more skin, because of my body fluctuating throughout the years, I do have loose skin, I do have stretch marks, I do have cellulite. So I know that things rear to an ugly head during those hotter seasons. And even though, you know, I'm extremely athletic and have, you know, won gold medals in my sport, and some of my friends that I'm around are, you know, competitive, you know, they're also in sports, they're professionals, and I hang around them, and, you know, they've got like 0% body fat, or, you know what I mean, everything looks great. So I know for me, I don't even like to wear shorts. I don't like to show my knees. I don't like, you know, the lower part of the leg. I don't like showing my arms. So for me, having to, you know, go to a party where there's, you know, everyone's in bathing suits and, you know, everyone's wearing a tank top. Like I get freaked out. Like if somebody gives me a gift and it's a tank top, because I won't wear it because I don't like showing my arms. So I know for me, it becomes a lot during the heated season. And I tend to just stay covered up when everyone else is, you know, like it's like 80 degrees in LA and I'm in a sweatshirt right now. But yeah,
it's hard for me to make friends. It's hard for me to, unless there's a specific reason for me to speak to somebody, I won't, because I just assume that they're not going to like me based off of how I look that day. You know, if I don't look perfect, they're going to be like, oh, she looks like she doesn't take care of herself. Or if I'm dressed nicely, they'll be like, I assume that they think, oh, she's full of herself. So it's a constant. It's constant all day, every day. I almost didn't even make it to this because I was like, I don't, you know, a million different things in my head. So it has cost me lots of opportunities in life and business, relationships, friendships. So yeah, it's all the time.
It's most heavily affected my friendships and my relationships, just because I do get so insecure to the point that it projects onto my friends. Like if we're out at a party, and my best friend's a model, so that doesn't help. But if we're out at a party and I'll be like, everyone's looking at her, like no one even cares if I'm here, stuff like that. And it got to the point where it does make my friendship unhealthy because I don't want to be around her. And it's really because of my own insecurities. It's not anything she did. But yeah, it's really when I go out with my friends, it's affected my relationships a lot, to the point where I'll stay home if I know certain people are going to be there.
Honestly, I don't really have a set thing that actually helps me when it happens. I generally try not to think about whatever the perceived flaw is or whatever's going on. If it's just like I get to a point where everything I wear makes me feel super off and it's like it's this or staying home and I like have to go out for whatever reason, I generally am like, I'm just going to throw something on and not look in a mirror. Like I'm not even going to give myself the chance to see what's going on with that. Just to kind of alleviate anything. It's pretty much avoidance of that until I can get to a clear mindset. So like avoiding mirrors, avoiding that, asking family members not to comment on certain things because they're who I'm isolated with and work with. So I can somewhat control it and just be like, don't comment on, you know, how I look, don't comment on my weight, don't comment on, you know, anything really small, just help me not do it. That's essentially my go-to ways of trying to deal.
For me, I have 3 that are just like my go-tos. So the first one is journaling. I've learned I've learned to allow my thoughts and my feelings and, you know, my emotions, whatever is happening in my mind or in my body. I've learned to honor it. And so I honor it by allowing it to express itself. So I'll just like free write journaling and allow everything to just come through. And then hopefully usually in that process, I get to pinpoint where it's coming from. So I usually get to the trigger, and then once I get to the trigger, I kind of know how to address that. The second one is fitness. So I know fitness or being physically active, it shifts my energy from, you know, the negative to the positive. So I'll go for a walk or go train or something like that. And then the third one, if all else fails, I talk to myself like I would talk to a friend or talk to someone I love or talk to one of my clients. It's just easier sometimes to remove myself and just talk to myself like I would talk to, you know, someone I really care about. So those are my 3 like coping mechanisms.
I talk to myself a lot. And I have to remind myself of everything that I've overcome up until now. And I see how big the list has grown. And I just have to remind myself that no matter how I'm feeling about myself, I've overcome so many things. And then some of the things that I find that I've overcome are bigger than what I'm feeling about myself. And then immediately I'm like, okay, ready, let's go. Let's conquer the day.
One of the things that I do to try to combat it when it gets ugly is usually it's because I haven't made it to the gym in a while. I know that for me, going to the gym most days helps me maintain some kind of balance with all of that, but being a mom, that doesn't always happen. So it just makes me realize I need to get back into the routine of going to the gym sometime soon. I'll list out all the things that, you know, I've been through, like Regina said, and remember, I've been through a lot. This feeling is right now came out of nowhere for no reason, and just breathe, take a couple deep breaths. Everything's going to be okay. And usually my son will either run around and like get me, or I will go play with him, because that's the best. So, you know, it helps me remember who I am, why I'm here, how I can make a difference in the immediate future. So, yeah.
Well, if it's just like something that's more minor or just like a one day thing, I'll do a lot of self-care, do like a face mask, take a bath, read a book, listen to some music, just kind of do some things that calm me down. But I do find when I get into like a rut where it's like a couple weeks where I'm feeling not so good about myself, I am very impulsive with my hair. So I'll like go blonde or cut bangs, or I'm just very impulsive in that sense. I'll chop off all my hair. Like I'm very impulsive in that sense. So that's kind of how I make myself feel better when I'm in a long rut.
You're not alone. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's something that you can get through and work through and figure out ways to combat, because it's not that there's something wrong with you, right? Like there's always a way to move forward from that. So, yeah.
First, and I think a few of the ladies said this as well, is to remember that you've been through a lot, and how you're feeling, like there's a reason for how you're feeling, and that reason is valid. I think that's a really dangerous thing. Dangerous may be a harsh word, but to me what's dangerous is to compare my experience with people who haven't had my experience and expect myself to react to situations how they would. And what's helping me overcome that is to remember that I've been through a lot, I've overcome a lot, and I have my own experience. And just remember to honor that. And also just to be, because of that, to be kind and patient and compassionate with yourself. I think, yeah, those are the two that have helped me the most.
First and most important, if you're starting to feel triggered, think of why you're feeling the way you are. Think about what the situation is, and maybe write that down, so that way in the future, if that happens again, you'll know, and find ways to center yourself when you're feeling super anxious, and when you feel like you're the way you're feeling about yourself is either positive or negative. And think about when you're feeling those negative things about yourself, like why? What is it? Is it because a look? Is it because, sorry. Is it and when you're feeling good about yourself, remember why you're feeling good about yourself, so that way in the future you'll know how to bring yourself back to those places. And you'll know that when you're feeling bad about yourself, how to conquer that maybe a little bit better. And then it takes time to develop that relationship with yourself. And once you do, it just gets stronger and stronger, and you're able to silence that voice that's telling you you can't do this, or you look bad, or you feel bad. So it's always important to build that relationship with yourself, in yourself, and have that conversation, and always just be aware of the things that are making you feel good and the things that are making you feel bad. And that, I think that is a great guideline to helping yourself out of situations that can be to get the best out of your life experience.
You've been through a lot. You're still here. There's a reason for you to still be here. They may have those situations may have they tried to take something from you, but to turn that energy around and use it for something good. Just because you went through a tough thing, you're still here, you're still alive. You made it through something more than a lot of people could even imagine. So just remember that you're stronger than this negative feeling that you're feeling right now about yourself, that somebody else put on you. Imagine how you would feel about yourself right now if that didn't happen. You'd probably be feeling great.
Remember that everyone's healthy looks different. We're all born into different bodies, and your healthy may be abs, and my healthy may be having a healthy relationship with food. So all of our bodies are very different. They all are always going to look different and fluctuate. And just to take care of your mental health first and foremost.
My name is Meagan, and I am a survivor.
Hi, my name is Nelao, and I am a survivor.
My name is Regina, and I am a survivor.
I'm Anji, and I am a survivor.
Hi, I'm Molly, and I'm a survivor.